Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's device management interface call. Thanks for joining. As usual, the call is public and recorded and will be shared live on YouTube. So please be mindful of the comments you make and the information you share, given that it's going to be recorded. So first of all, I had some action items to check with Deutsche Telekom about the pawn ID messages, and the periodicity of the of how often we need to send this PLOM message. The appendix C of 983.4 says 1 second, but Deutsche Telekom is okay to defaulting this as 10 second, possibly configurable for the component to change it depending on the operator's need. So this is what the periodicity of the message should be. The other question we had was, does this pawn ID need to be persisted on the device across reboots? And I checked with this one as well with Bjorn from Deutsche Telekom, and he mentioned the fact that no, this does not need to be persisted on the device, given that upon reboot, the NEM will reconfigure this element on the different on the rebooted OLT. So we're good to go on that front. There's one less information that we need to store. Regarding the learning of the information, of the capability of the ONU, there is a specific element that is the extended TC layer, and it's the ME256, and it's a page 11 of OpenOMCI spec. But the OpenOMCI spec also states that it's going to be discarded if the ONU does not understand it. So I think that for a first implementation of the Open Device Manager in Radisys front, I think we can go ahead with just sending the info and not caring about that too much. Just sending the message, and if the ONU doesn't like it, then it doesn't like it, and that's it. But I'm open to thoughts and suggestions all over there as well. Anything on this? So these were the action items I had on this topic from last meeting. Are there any questions regarding this?
Yes, Andrea. So one comment or thought on configuration thing, right?
Yeah.
So if you look at the other configuration parameters for now, which is something like the log level or the events which are configured to be reported, right?
Mm-hmm.
The metrics which are configured to be reported, they are all getting, they are all persistent, right? That
okay.
configuration. So why treat it differently for the pawn ID?
So this is just what Bjorn mentioned, that they do not need it to be persisted. It will be reconfigured. So if we persist it, it's going to be more work for us, which I'm fine doing. They will reconfigure it nonetheless. I don't care. We can persist it. They just said that they don't need it persisted. It can be persisted, but they don't need it persisted. That's what, I don't know if I'm making any sense.
I get your point, but what I'm thinking is why on the interface, right? Why have different persistence for different configurations? If there is a logical reasoning to it, I'm fine by it. But if it is more random, then it needs to be clarified very clearly in the documentation as to what is persisted and what is not persisted. And I think from maintenance perspective, that would become an overhead, right?
Mm-hmm. I get it. Again, as I said, if the agreement here is that this needs to be persisted, I think we can definitely persist it with with precedence and overall precedence to the one that is set by the operator, meaning that If the device reboots, it's persistent, it will report it. If the operator changes it, it changes it, and that's it. Would that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. I think we can persist it. It's not an issue at all for me.
Sorry, one question. When you say reboot, you mean a reboot of the old team?
Yes.
Or reboot of, okay. Yeah, I also think persisting sounds great. I mean, this is the normal way we're doing it. And
Okay, sounds good to me. Perfect.
Andrea, I have one question. Here you put that 10 second is the interval just above in your notes. Any reason why is it so frequent, 10 second? It constitutes of many parameter, out of which tx bar is only the dynamic parameter. Do you expect the tx bar of the OLT to change so frequently?
So to be honest, I would even be okay with like minutes here, even not minutes, like a higher level. DT thinks 10 seconds is okay. The spec says 1 second, so I expect the power. So the spec expects the power to change a lot. I don't particularly care which value we set as default. We should probably set something which is reasonable, not like completely random. But as I said, I don't particularly care which value we set. It's just that it is consistent. We pick a time and we set it, and then we make it configurable such in a way that the operator can decide how often to send it. That's really how I would go about it.
Sure, Andrea. Thank you.
Really, the key point is that it needs to be configurable. Let me write this down.
So, regarding the configuration, because the PON ID is on a per PON port basis, right? So, should the configuration be one across the entire OLT, one across the entire network, or one for each PON port? I think.
That's a good question. What would be your preference? Probably per PON, but that would be maybe mine, but I'm not sure.
So if you think about it from an implementation perspective, I think, yeah, because anyways, the messages need to be transmitted per PON port. So maybe it would be timers running per PON port. So yeah, we could have it per PON port.
Okay. Okay. Has anybody given any thought on a proposal to extend our protobuf to configure this?
No, I haven't really paid too much attention to that. But my first thought would be that the set hardware component info, I think we have an RPC there, right? And we could introduce what is that? Union, not union, what is it called? Sorry for my memory. So give me a second, let me open. Yeah, so if we look into the modifiable component, right? So in the hard hw.proto file, hw.proto, go to the end of the file, yeah. So if you look at line 272, we have this one-off specific, right? We could have a one-off specific inside the modifiable component, saying that for specific type of components, in this case, it is a port, right? We could introduce some port specific attributes that can be modified, and pawn ID could be one of them, and pawn ID timer could be another. So that's the first thought.
Yeah, I actually do like this approach. What do others think?
I think it's okay.
We can actually probably extend the sport component attribute. Maybe not. Okay.
No, I think you're correct there, Andrea. Maybe we have to extend that as well, because whatever value we are putting in, we should be able to read it back as well. Right, so yeah, so we would have to extend this as well to have those values so that we can see, okay, for a particular port, what is the pawn ID that is configured and what is the interval, right?
Yep.
But we have another message which can only change that value, because not all the component attributes are right? Most of them are read-only.
Okay. Go ahead.
By the way, I just checked with our implementation, so you cannot specify the interval. I guess it's what the standard says. It's about 1 second. So you cannot modify it. I mean, you can add the parameter, but we will not be able to do anything with it.
What's the current interval, Holger?
It's not, I mean, the standard says approximately 1 second. So I guess it's approximately 1 second. I don't know for sure.
So Holger, is it that the standard says that it is approximately 1 second and they didn't say that whether it's configurable or not?
It says, can I share it somehow?
Sure, send it to me. I can actually go.
Yeah, I can.
Just give me 1 second. I'll bring up the 983.4 Appendix C.
Okay. It's on page 118. Okay, I have a different version.
Please go to 126. Maybe you have
thanks. This is the latest one.
Go down a little bit, and there the trigger.
Yeah. And I remember reading through this, it doesn't say anything about configurability. But to me, it's a no-brainer that we should be able to configure it. Can you investigate this with internally, Olga, to understand what the reason for this was?
Yeah, yeah, I can do that. I mean, it could be that it's simply done by the hardware on its own.
Ah, I see. So it's the I see what you mean. Okay. So I'll put an action item on you to investigate.
And there in the next section that you are showing, the pawn ID type and pawn ID identifier, both are standard says config provision by operator, right? So doesn't that align with what you're saying? Andrea, are you able to hear me okay?
Yeah. I didn't quite clearly. I don't want to come down today. There seems to be some background noise, which is kind of hard for me to understand. So you were saying that the fact that they are provisionable by the operator conflicts with my statement? I didn't get that.
No, I said what you said and what is said in standard, both are same.
Yeah.
So you said the standard doesn't align with, may not back up what you had anticipated. I'm saying it backs up what you had anticipated.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So let's do that. And Holger, investigate internally why Adtran cannot do it or has not exposed it. Maybe it was never a requirement. And then we can reassess it. Okay.
Yep.
Amit, do you have cycles to come up with a proposal for the Pro Tools?
Yeah, I can do that.
Okay. Good. So anything else on the pawn ID? No. Then, okay. The next topic is related to the port mapping and the information over there. We have discussed it at TST. Amit, do you want to bring the update to the people here?
Yeah, sure. Give me a second. Let me look for the slide that I had shared. Actually, I was not present in the TST meeting this Tuesday. It was supposed to be discussed, as in the discussion had happened in the previous one, but we were waiting if there were any comments, so I don't know if it got discussed.
I think there was no comment, so we can call it approved.
Okay. Then should I take the share and quickly go through it?
Sure.
Let me know if you're able to see my screen.
Yes, we can.
Okay. Good. I think the proposal is in line with what we have discussed in this round here. So the problem that we have as of today is that there is no way for NEM to easily identify, actually not easily or any way for them to identify the same port across Volta and DMI. So in Volta, a port is basically identified using a port number and a label. Plus actually, so that is within an OLT, and you would need a OLT identifier as well to uniquely identify it within the system. Within DMI, a port is identified using a component UUID, a physical label. So, or we can say that the physical label is an attribute, but the component UUID is really the identifier that is used in DMI. And there is no way as of today that we could correlate these two or somehow map. So the proposal that we have made is that we don't do any change in Volta. We let it be as is. We introduce optional attribute. We just saw the port attributes. So there we introduce an attribute called a mapping label. And the value of this label should be the same as the value of the label for that same port in Volta. Now, given that the the device manager implementation, as well as the Volta adapter implementation are for the same device, it should not be difficult to make sure or ensure that the labels are the same in both the implementations. So even in Volta, this label is set by the adapter and not by the vCore. So, this label could be device specific, right? So as of today, they are called as PON-0 to PON-15 for 16 port OLTs. But if some vendor or some implementation wants to call it something else, they could. But the only thing that we are suggesting is that the mapping label value should be the same in the device manager implementation. And and then NEM could use that to correlate. It would still address the port using the identifiers that it is using, which would be the component UUID and the component names, but it could help the NEM to correlate things. That's all that is there in the proposal. Any thoughts? Okay, Andrea, you can take back the show.
Yeah, thanks, Miki. As you know, I think we're fine. We just need to put in the work to have this in the code base. I think it's pretty straightforward, right?
So in that case, Andrea, can you assign that to me as well to make the proto change?
Yep, I can do that.
So I will need to create a couple of open code Jiras and then, yeah, those done.
Yes. Okay, any questions related to this port map for Amit?
Nothing from my side, thank you.
Okay. Okay, the next step, the next topic on the agenda was the PM counter data that needed to be collected, and I had an action item to check with Bjorn what is the neg state that was written in here, and it is actually the auto neg as it was discussed last time. I really don't know what action item we need to take here. I mean, most of these things are the RX power, TX power, link state, link data rate, I think, or we can capture through Volta. We cannot capture the temperature, the voltage, the bias, and the autoneg from Volta. Maybe we need to implement those. Any thoughts?
Yeah, not very clear on this. So autoneg, what does autoneg state mean? Autoneg, as far as I
is it on or off? That is.
Oh, okay, yeah. Generally, it should be a Boolean, right? Yeah, on or off.
Yeah.
Correct. Okay, yeah, then it's fine. And it's only for the NNI port, right?
Yes, because I honestly believe that the pawn port makes no sense to have autoneg.
No sense, yeah.
I really don't know what needs to be done here. I mean, it's a low-level priority that we could add some protos to capture this few information, but maybe I can take this on myself and see if we can make some proto changes. And come up with a proposal. I'll do that. Okay. Any question or comment?
So there was one open item from Bjorn on the NNI SFP, basically whether it's a quad channel or single channel. So that will also be addressed, Andrea.
Can you remind me what that was?
Can you please open the ticket? Yeah.
Oh yeah, I already opened it, but whatever. Okay. Yeah, tell me.
Yes, there is one comment by Nagel here. Yeah. Please clarify addressing of multiple NNI interfaces and add a remark to pay attention to the single lane and quad lane plugins. Just above. Yeah.
What does that mean exactly? Do you have any? It means that he wants these counters for each NNI?
Yes, looks like, yeah.
Okay. Okay, I can investigate this one with Bjorn as well. And check exactly what the requirement was. Sorry, I have not done this before. I'll do that. Okay. Anything else on this one? No? Okay. Then if not, Chandra Babu, do you want to give us an update on the Radis progress? I remember there was no more open questions on the reboot indication. How are you guys doing?
Sure, I'll give an update, Babu, initially. So on the PON ID, we did POC through the example user BAL CLI. We were able to construct and send the PLOM
nice.
PON ID. So it works. We should be able to support it in the Open Device Manager as well as on the device implementation.
Okay, good. That's great. That's great. It's good news. Very good news, actually.
Thank you. On the reboot events and also the call flow, basically the state transition diagram we discussed in the last meeting, no open questions, but I had an action item to put back in the documentation, which I'll submit. The documentation I'll update and share it for the review.
Is the review already up? Did I miss it?
Not yet.
Okay.
I have the diagram ready, but I am yet to write the review.
Okay.
And regarding the storage of the active alarms on the device, I think this is closed. It is possible will be implemented. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, that's pretty much from my side. Babu, anything you want to add, please?
No, Chandra, unless there are questions. Thank you.
Okay, this is great information, great news, especially around the fact that the example user application works with the PLOM message. That's it's very good to know. It's really good thing that we can do that, and there's no issue on that front. It's important, I guess. Okay. The last item was the diagram for the update to the diagram that you shared last time, Chandra.
Yes, Andrea. That I have to commit back to the documentation. That is the progress. I am yet to raise the patch set for you.
Okay, so this will be included into the same review that you will share with this one.
Yes. And we need one small correction also, which Holger pointed out regarding NEM to do the purge of alarms. That correction also will be part of the same review. Clear, the documentation said that the NEM will purge the alarms, the reboot indication. Now that the device is taking care of persistency, so that will be corrected in the documentation.
Okay. Okay. Good. Perfect. Thanks for that. Any questions for Radisys while we are on the topic of the status of their implementation?
Right now, no open questions, Andrea. We are good.
Perfect. Okay, good. Good. Okay, so that was all I had as technical items. I do have one non-technical item, which is given that I am away for 2 weeks, the next call should have been on the 20th, Thursday the 20th, 19th, whatever. Are you guys okay postponing it 1 week, meaning doing it, if I'm not mistaken, the 26th? So it's going to move our dates. It's not going to be in 2 weeks, it's going to be in 3 weeks, and then we're going to resume the same 2 weeks schedule. Would that be okay for everybody?
Okay with me.
Okay. Nice vacation.
Yep.
Oh, okay, then let me do that. I'll update the calendar. I'll take an action item on myself to do that. You're gonna receive an invite pretty soon on this, most likely today. Anything else that you would like to discuss today? No. Okay. Then if not, we can get a couple minutes, some minutes back of our time to work on the action items we have, and let's reassess again in 3 weeks, the 26th. And hopefully all of these proposals and documentation will be up there, so we can take a review of those in the meantime, and then proceed with those items. Thanks, everybody, and have a nice couple of weeks if I don't hear from you. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye, everyone.